Hey, FootClan, before we start today's show, I've got to tell you about FantasyChamps.com. Do you need a trophy? Do you need a ring or a championship belt for your league? Look, no further than Fantasy Champs. Here's what we're doing on our League of Record. We're buying a big old crystal trophy, engraving all of the league champion names on the side, and then we're getting a ring and a ring case for every champion over the last 10 years.
It's going to be hot.
That they can keep, that they can flaunt. This is what fantasy football is all about. So go to FantasyChamps.com. Use the promo code BALLERS to save 10%.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Play Draft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in.
Oh, man, was last night fun.
Football.
Whew, I tell you what, I've got no energy left for the show today. My cartwheels.
I need to, right off the top, I want to tell a story.
All right.
Andy, Mike, and Jason back to Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Thanks for tuning in with us this fine Friday morning, September 8th, not the 7th, the 8th. Here's the story I want to tell. Like, you listen to us, and we've talked all off season. We've done the draft, and yesterday we had our starts of the week. And look, we recognize some things when a lot of people listen, and they listen and they want us to get it right, and we do our best to get it right. But there are low risk and high risk situations when we make our picks. One of the higher risk situations week to week is if one of our starts of the week ends up on a Thursday night football game, it's kind of putting them up on a pedestal, right? Like there aren't a bunch.
Everyone's watching.
Yeah, like if it's a Sunday game and we get 7 out of 10 right, you know, the bad ones kind of wash out a little bit. I'm just giving you the insight, right? Like the trolls don't come out as much because we hit some and we miss some. But on Thursday, you're just putting it out there. And then if you start the year with a start of the week on a Thursday, you're really risking our entire livelihoods, and that's what Jason did.
I was freaking out, man.
And that's why I wanted to say this, because you said your energy is gone, and I'm going to tell the people why. Jason, his start of the week was Mike Gillislee. Now, when it was brought up before the show, I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I mean, Mike has Gillislee on multiple rosters. I think Mike thought, like, well, be careful. Be careful right here. So he goes with Gillislee, and the game starts out, and Burkhead comes in for the first play, and Jason.
And this is after Burkhead Twitter had been electric all day. One of the Patriots beat reporters was hyping him up to the point that a full sleeper bot hype alert came out and said, this guy's expecting a big game from Burkhead.
He hyped Burkhead up. Burkhead was hyped up so much that I moved Eddie Lacy from my starting lineup to put Burkhead in last night. I did not recommend it on the show because, look, it was
a glory play.
It was a hype train play, and Rawls had been playing, and I was like, oh, Rawls and Lacy, and who knows, Chris Carson. So it didn't work out for Burkhead. But Jason was living and dying on every snap in this game, and he doesn't have Gillislee. He did it for you.
I'm playing against Mike was playing me with Gillislee.
And Jason, when Gillislee ran in the first touchdown, Jason lost his mind. He was screaming. He was cheering, all because he made the start of the week pick for you guys.
And then
the penalty flag came out. And he froze like a man who had witnessed death. And then the touchdowns, they started to pour in, and we'll get into that when we talk about Thursday Night Football. But I will tell you right now, Jason lives and dies for these picks, trying to get your fantasy team right. And
it sucks when we're wrong, man. We will be wrong. Okay, we do not claim that we will get all these right. But it's good to be right sometimes.
Yeah, that's a toot moment for sure. This is going to be a great show today. We got FootClan Friday. We're going to talk about the Thursday Night Football game that you all watched last night. We're going to get into the news and notes, talk about which players are not going to play due to injury or what we think about the injury situations. And then we're going to get into the fantasy forecast and walk through the rest of the games, which is going to take a little while. We have quite a few games left on the forecast. And we're also going to do a live draft, in-play draft, because each week we're taking on one another.
The food bets.
I'll tell you what, it is so great that we are doing another one of those because we have 2 for week 1.
Yeah.
One of which has already started, and
it's over.
I feel like we're going to lose because Mike has Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, he does. You can follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers, and let's go ahead and let's just start talking about last night's game, the Thursday night football game, will take the place of the quick question. So much happened. When we got into the studio this morning, I quizzed both of these gentlemen, and I said, look, Tom Brady threw the ball 36 times. How many completions did he have? And the answer is 16. 44% completion percentage.
Cam Newton thinks that's bad.
Even Cam Newton thinks that's bad. I know a lot of fantasy owners cursing Tom Brady, whereas on the other side, Alex Smith was 28 for 35 for 368 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Oh, Alex.
Brad Evans,
you dog,
tweeted this picture of a guy dancing, that one guy that started Alex Smith. I ended up being that one guy in our dynasty league because I had Andrew Luck and my stopgap was Alex Smith, and I got lucky.
Yeah, you were forced into a corner.
I was, but now I'm going to pretend like I'm meant to be in that corner because Alex Smith lit it up. 2 touchdowns of over 70 yards. What's your reaction to these quarterbacks in Game 1 in New England, in Foxborough? Is this just adjusting to no Julian Edelman that we're seeing?
Yeah, for Alex Smith, this is why he is the ultimate streaming machine, because he has these games every once in a while, and he's always on your waiver wire. Now, no one was calling for this against the Patriots, but so do not overreact. Alex Smith has not become a weekly starter, so don't freak out to that, and don't freak out to Tom Brady. I mean, this is the offense for New England. They got to figure some things out because the team is so reliant, and Tom Brady is so reliant on that Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. They need the man underneath who is just fearless, and on top of being fearless, invincible, nearly, because I guess Edelman's technically hurt, so he's not invincible, but Edelman would frequently go across the middle, fearless, get blown up, and just stand up like nothing happened. Amendola tried to be that guy, but then his health meter depleted once again, and he got a concussion. He's out. But you saw he was the go-to target, 6 for 100 yards. But so it's now moving into next week. You don't even have Amendola likely,
who was concussed in this game.
They're going to be trying to figure some things out. So my hot sneaky pickup, my trade for low, go get James White.
Completely agree.
I think that they will go back. They will watch the film, and the Patriots will say, Tom Brady's holding the ball way too long. We cannot perform like this. We have to have an outlet. And that outlet now, just de facto, will be James White. And I think that he is an excellent target to go get on the cheap.
Jason, is Tom Brady a target to go get on the cheap?
Yeah, I mean, he's certain. Anytime a guy has an outlier performance
on Thursday night to start the fantasy season,
to the extreme high or to the extreme low, they become either a guy that you look to possibly trade or a guy you look to target, because there are the owners in certain leagues that now have written Tom Brady off. They have him and they go, oh, he's old. Oh, he needed Julian Edelman. And they'll trade him for 10 cents on the dollar. So I would not be trying actively to get him, but I'll go look at who has Tom Brady and I'll make a junk offer, and in 3 out of 10 leagues you're going to get him.
All right, and then look, we talked about Gillislee, 15 for 45, 3 touchdowns on the ground from 2 and 1 yards away. This was LeGarrette Blount, reborn.
Is the perfect storm for Mike Gillislee. So this is another don't overreact.
I would not go try to trade for Gillislee.
I would actively, and I highly recommend trying to trade Gillislee right now.
Okay.
But what are you trying to get for Gillislee?
I'm trying to get something really good. I'm trying to trade him in a package with someone else to get something like a Devonta Freeman or a Melvin Gordon or someone that is a reliable RB1. He looked good. His stat line will be great, and you'll have those owners that will buy in because Gillislee, I made the argument for him to be the start of the week because he's the goal line back in a great situation, and he will have that. I mean, LeGarrette Blount had 18 touchdowns last year, but LeGarrette Blount's 18 touchdowns in the games where he didn't hit pay dirt, he was really not good for your fantasy team, and his consistency rating is not very good. And I expect you're going to see that from Gillislee this year.
All right, it's time to talk about the other side. This is the headline story.
Kareem. Oh, please don't trade him just because you can.
Oh, Kareem Hunt. Whew. That's a debut.
Yeah.
Comes out, fumbles the football on the first.
Oh, my gosh.
And he had one fumble in his entire Toledo collegiate career.
FootClan, my head almost blew off of my body with that fumble.
But he comes out and instead goes 5 for 98 through the air for 2 touchdowns, 17 for 148 on the ground, which is a nice 8.7 clip. Absolutely lights it up, shows the kind of versatility that you love in a premier back in fantasy, and this is why the second Spencer Ware was injured, we all put Kareem Hunt in our top 15 instantly for the season long because the opportunity said to do so.
Andy Reid's history said to do so because of what happened. Not only does he usually produce a good running back in the ground game, but he always utilizes that running back in the passing game in ways that take advantage of the skill set, and you saw that last night. However, once again, don't overreact. Don't think
don't Carlos Hyde this.
Here's the
if you
truth.
remember Carlos Hyde against the Vikings a couple
2
years ago.
What are the odds that that was the greatest fantasy performance of Kareem Hunt's career?
I think they're high.
Very high.
Yeah, so incredible.
Just because
game.
of the amount of touchdowns. The yardage, I think he can come close to replicating that again, but 3 scores is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen on Twitter all the different trade offers that are being made
Mike,
for him.
Mike put a tweet out there.
People are – and so let's say this. Let's say you have Kareem Hunt. And what is your excitement level? Because I have seen people say, I was offered Julio Jones for Kareem Hunt. Is that an auto accept for you?
It is for me, so long as – I mean, it's always tough when it's a running back for a wide receiver. You got to look at team and other things. But in general, if this was a redraft starting, over knowing what we know, I would take Julio first.
Yeah, it breaks down to roster construction. Do you have running backs? It's a pretty close to an auto accept. What other offers were people getting for Kareem Hunt after last night's explosion?
Well, the one offer that I wanted to pose, because Jason's saying package Gillislee in a piece. Would you take Gillislee and a piece and try and get Kareem Hunt? Is that enough of an upgrade for you?
I would. And so when I say that you need to take advantage of this and find a trade for Gillislee, Gillislee's going to be good. He'll have plenty of use in that important role, and I like him, but his consistency won't be there. Kareem Hunt, on the other hand, I think will be very consistent. He will score fewer touchdowns than Gillislee this season, but he'll be someone you could plug and play every week, and when he doesn't have a great game, he probably won't crap your team the same way that Gillislee will.
Carry. That's what Char West got.
And that was because Kareem Hunt was tired from a 50-yard run. So there's just a couple more of these offers. I mean, you're talking Jordy.
Wow.
In a PPR. Okay, so here's a interesting one. It's a full PPR. So Robinson and Jarvis Landry for Kareem Hunt.
Allen Robinson?
Yes.
No,
I wouldn't do that either.
Okay.
But I will say this. I have seen multiple.
Is this true? Devonta Freeman plus Kelvin Benjamin?
Yeah, that to me is
What?
a yes.
That's an easy yes.
And I've also seen multiple people, like different humans, because you would think this
Is
would
that
only
what
be
people are?
You would think this would only be one crazy guy on the planet that have been offered Le'Veon Bell for Kareem Hunt straight up.
Do that immediately, please.
Do that immediately. If you've got Kareem Hunt, go offer him for ridiculous
lunacy.
things.
Look, at one point, like last night in our League of Record, I was browsing through. There were 7 Patriot offensive players starting, and that's with Amendola on somebody's bench. That's the level of that's the amount of Patriots that are being consistently started in the distribution of points. We talked about last night, and Mike brought up Edelman. The real problem to me, yes, Edelman was part of it. A lack of rapport with Cooks was part of it. But Eric Berry shutting down Rob Gronkowski. Yep. Rob Gronkowski disappointed all fantasy owners last night, and I want you to know, do not worry about Rob Gronkowski at all. It was Eric Berry. He had done this before. Mike had brought this up. So there's a lot of players. I mean, Brandon Cooks only had 3 receptions, but he had 88 yards. He was okay for you. He was in the 10, 11-point range. And then we could talk about Tyreek Hill. Whew. Tyreek Hill, 5th consecutive game with a touchdown of 65-plus yards, was electric. What did you think of the usage of Hill? Because to me, he's Edelman plus D-Jacks built into one player right now.
It's incredible. I mean, when Jeremy Maclin was out weeks 9 through 13 last year, he averaged 7 receptions a game. They used him just like they did yesterday, last year when the opportunity was there. Last night he had 7 receptions. He also was involved in the rushing game. They looked for him short. They looked for him deep. I mean, because he can outrun anyone in the NFL, literally anyone, he is a must play. I mean, he's an absolute – there's no matchup. If you're playing against the Denver Broncos, I'd play him because he can outrun anyone. And the only concern now is he limped off the field. I was worried it was going to be a hamstring. Looks like it came out that it was cramping, which I think is, I mean, we don't want that, but it's better than a muscle
He'll be
pull.
fine.
But speaking of Eric Berry, this huge blow for the Chiefs. It sounds like an Achilles injury, and we're talking substantial time, if not the entire season, which if this changes everything for the Chiefs' defense.
Yeah, and Marcus Peters left with a calf injury, and Danny Amendola left with a concussion. Jason literally said with the amount of hits he was taking that his health meter looked like it was at 20%, like it was in a video game, and no more than 5 minutes later he left the field with a concussion.
I do feel like I need to institute Rule 80-11.
Oh.
And that is when Danny Amendola is on the field and Julian Edelman is not on the field, he's in my lineup.
Rule 80-11. That
like
makes
it.
sense. All right, hey, look, I feel like we could talk about last night's game forever, but we don't have time for that. I do want to reintroduce a little segment. Woo-hoo. We're back for the regular season.
FootClan Friday.
Oh, man, you dance like a white dude, Jason.
No, that was my Muppet dance. I was dancing like how you make Muppets dance.
That's how white dudes
That's your
dance.
go-to move.
FootClan Friday, every single Friday, we want to say thanks to everybody supporting us over at jointhefoot.com, and we randomly select one of our FootClan members to win a $40 shopballers.com gift card. Today's winner is Justin Alonzo.
Oh,
Justin Alonzo, congrats.
You did it so good.
You did it so good, Justin.
Hey, no, thank you for the support, Justin.
Yes.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, Mike, what are you hearing about Ezekiel Elliott?
Can we please stop talking about this?
Nope.
But the ruling on Elliott's restraining order is supposed to be due by 5 p.m. Eastern today, and if that passes, that means there is a hold and that Elliott is going to be playing a good amount this season while they try and figure things out once again.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know this for sure, but the expectation I've seen from other people I trust seems to assume that he will get it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean that again, this is not my own information, so I'm hedging here. The worry though for me is if he gets this, but he doesn't get the preliminary injunction, then what could happen is he plays for a while and then you miss him in the playoffs.
All right, I got just one more nasty one. Would you trade Kareem Hunt for Zeke right now?
Wow, that one is great.
Oh, my gosh. No, I wouldn't.
I don't think I would.
I mean, if Zeke was his situation, you knew it, or if it was a dynasty league, I would I would say yes. But right now, I wouldn't mess with it.
Okay,
I wouldn't risk it. That'd be a big
biscuit.
It'd be a big biscuit. Bengals coach, running backs coach, said that they were going to use a hot hand approach at running back. In the context of Kareem Hunt, is this the time to go grab Joe Mixon before you see one of these games from Mixon? Because I know the hot hand. Yeah, Mixon's hands are warm. Mixon's hands are warm.
Whose hands are hot.
No, because I still think it's going to take a couple weeks for Mixon to really establish himself.
I think he will be good from week 1, and he will be good the rest of the time, but I will never trust the entire season without injury. I don't trust that Joe Mixon would be given the keys to the kingdom and be given 20 touches a game at all. Like Marvin Jones doesn't do this. If it was Andy Reid, I would say he would see the talent, see the hot hand, and really do it. I don't trust the situation here. So while I think Mixon is probably safer this week than a lot of people think, his ceiling.
Are you willing to play him?
I'm playing him in 2 different leagues.
Woo! I am too. I have no problem with it. I'm the most bullish on Mixon of this three.
I don't think he finishes, as a top 15 running back. He can. My expectations are tempered there because I expect him to get, 10 to 13 touches.
All right, the Bills added $2.5 million in incentives to LeSean McCoy's contract. I believe his base salary was $6 million. Yeah. Does this matter, Mike?
It does, from the fact that now they're saying, Shady, we need you to stay on the field.
You might not be motivated by this team's success, so let's be motivated by money.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says. LeSean McCoy he's a top 3 running back.
Yeah, he is. Okay, you guys want to get into some of the injury stuff?
Let's do it.
Let's bring it back.
What's it gonna be, McFly? Are you in or out?
All right, in or out, Tyrod Taylor.
I'm going in.
He's my start of the week, so I sure hope he plays.
In or out, Thomas Rawls, Danny Woodhead, and Bilal Powell.
They're all going to play.
I concur.
In and out, Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr.
I'm going in. I think the game is too important in a division rival.
But how do you handle it if you don't think he's going to be 100%?
You play him.
Yeah, you still play him, and I probably play him over most other options.
What if you had Brandon Marshall?
I would play Odell Beckham.
I'd go Beckham as well.
Is Demaryius Thomas going to play this week?
He is. I mean, he's dealing with the groin injury, so that's always trouble. When a player injures their groin early, I mean, this is something that can be nagging and last the whole season, so hopefully he's good to go, but I expect him to play.
Jordan Matthews, he going to be out there?
I think he'll be out there, but I worry just about what happens the first hit he takes.
Right. It's a pain tolerance thing is what I'm understanding.
Jamison Crowder added to the injury report yesterday with a hip injury, wide receiver for the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, we need more information on this one.
He got a limited session on Thursday.
Then he's going to play.
Okay. And Josh Doxson, Brashad Perryman?
Yeah, they're both going to play. They both
not a lot of questionable guys this week.
Yeah, week 1.
Brashad Perryman, if he can do anything, he can surprise us when we think he's going to play.
That's
got
fair.
A history of it.
Hey, before we jump into some of these matchups, I want to thank today's sponsor, Draft. PlayDraft.com/ballers. They're the studio sponsor. You know who they are. It's a weekly matchup. You go in, you draft your team. Up to 10 players can be in this, and it just enhances the week. You got your regular leagues. Well, little side action here, just a 1-week thing. And it's super easy because this is a DFS that is really accessible for people who have never done anything because it's a draft. You already know how to play. We're going to be doing a live draft on this show to show you just how quick and how easy it is.
And then I'm going to make you guys eat terrible things when you lose.
Yeah. Well, not this week, says Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
But you got to go check it out. Like we said, it's playdraft.com/ballers, or you can jump on their website there and use the promo code Ballers. It's just Ballers all around, people. When in doubt, Ballers.
Ballers.
But really, check it out. It will make the weekend more fun, and you already know how to play.
You get a free entry with that code, by the way.
Absolutely. Go play for a little bit of quiche.
All right. Well, we also want to thank SeatGeek. We have used SeatGeek for a long time for all of our ticketing needs. Buying tickets to sporting events or any events can be a hassle through other platforms. Literally the easiest process you will ever experience to buy tickets is the SeatGeek app.
I'm going to the Diamondbacks game tonight, see if they can win 14 in a row. SeatGeek.
Yep, I'm going got my father for his birthday some tickets to the Cardinals Seahawks game.
Ooh.
SeatGeek. And it is here's the thing. It takes you like a minute and a half, I feel like, to complete the process. So download the app now, and whenever you're out with buddies and you decide, hey, you want to go to this thing? Just you pull it out, and then boom, bam, you got tickets.
You can buy tickets on the toilet.
Boom, bam.
Yeah, you could do it. So definitely get the SeatGeek app. They make it very easy, and over 100 different sites. So the prices are great, and you can get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter the promo code Footballers, not Ballers, Footballers today. That's promo code Footballers for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase.
Fantasy Forecast.
All right, this just in. There are more football games this weekend.
Woo! I'm so excited.
All right, let's start with the Raiders traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans. A masterful 50.5 over-under in this game. That sounds like a fantasy feast.
Yes.
This is the game I'm the most worried about when it comes to overall fantasy production, not from the standpoint of that I don't think it's going to happen, but usually every week there's some high Vegas over-under game that I'm like all in on that doesn't pan out. And I'm all in on this game.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying.
Wet blanket. What are
Sorry.
you doing over here?
Yeah, seriously. Why are you poo-pooing on this game?
Hey, we've got 2 different starts of the week in this game. We believe in it. I'm just hoping it doesn't happen that way.
All right, Mariota and Carr. I've decided to start Mariota at home over
Good for
Palmer on the
you.
road.
Good for you.
In place of Andrew Luck. I think Mariota is just the floor is going to be very high in this game with the over-under the way it is, with the passing weapons he has. That being said, the Raiders did hold Mariota to his lowest fantasy point total of the year last year.
Payback. This time it's personal.
This time it's personal. Look, is this a fantasy feast for everybody?
Yes.
And
I hope
if
so.
it is, then how do you decide which Tennessee wide receivers to roll out there?
You don't decide on the Tennessee wide receivers. You probably don't have multiple on your roster.
I sure hope you don't.
So, if you've got Eric Decker, I think you can play him. That's about the only one I feel confident in because of his touchdown prowess. Maybe in a deeper league, a Rashard Matthews you could play. The pass catcher I'm clearly most confident in is Delaney Walker. I think he fits the Oakland Raiders defense really nice.
Yes.
He fits in there.
In their giant tight
just
end
like a glove.
hole?
Yeah, in their giant tight end hole in their defense. And so
I'm not a part of this conversation.
what did you do, Andy?
I thought if I qualified the hole in their defense
yeah,
with the
we're
position,
grown-ups.
it would work out. And
We're grown-ups.
It didn't work out the way I
No.
planned.
All right. Well, moving along. So I do think Delaney Walker is a great play. He's my start of the week. And what else?
Feeling
is
a
going
little
on
red.
here?
I'll try and save us.
Does Lynch have a good game against this Titans defense that had a second-ranked run defense?
Well, I think that the second-ranked run defense of the Titans is it's an anomaly because the pass defense was so atrocious last year that's all you had to do was pass on them. You didn't even have to worry about running on them. On the Fantasy Footballers DFS podcast, which
by the way came out today and is out every single Friday, and if you're not subscribed, you're living a sad life.
Yeah.
So go get it on
together.
iTunes. Fantasy Footballers DFS podcast.
If you've never played DFS, if you do play DFS, please check it out. My stack of the week, because of price and value and upside, it's Mariota and Decker, because Mariota is absolutely lethal inside the 10 throwing the ball. Eric Decker, my thoughts on Eric Decker are well documented on this show. He's a touchdown machine. I mean, I'm the only player I don't want to play in this matchup is Jared Cook. I mean,
well, that's kind of a life story for Jared Cook.
But I'm just saying,
He could be all right, but he's a wait-and-see type of prospect here.
Well, who's playing Jared Cook in week 1? Yeah, exactly.
No.
Nobody.
All
right.
I just want to throw this out because of my Delaney Walker start of the week. I love Jonu Smith, but I will hate you, Jonu, if you step in the way of Delaney Walker this
he's
week.
not. It's not this week.
Good, but
Eagles.
he's really good. Dynasty, get him.
The Eagles take on the Redskins. 2 of my starts of the week are in this game, Terrell Pryor and Zach Ertz. I'm excited about this divisional matchup. The over-under is 47.5 points. The Redskins are 1-point underdogs despite being at home. And, look, we want to see what the Redskins offense really is. They gave there's some bad vibes there, especially, from Jason in regards to.
It's not just Jason. It's watching them play football.
Well,
this
Jason's bold
preseason.
prediction, though, was the disaster that will be the offense in Washington. I'm excited to see what happens in this game. I'm excited about Pryor's matchup on the outside. I'm excited to see these new faces in new places. I mean, Jeffrey and Torrey Smith, they're brand new. You've got the running back situation that's a mess in Philadelphia where it's, is it Blunt? Is it Smallwood?
Are
Is
you
it
willing
Sproles?
to play any of these running backs? I mean, it's a juicy matchup.
You're going to be in a position where you have to. I mean, much like where I had to roll Rex Burkhead in because I didn't feel confident with Lacey or Rawls, you might have to roll in LeGarrette Blount and be happy with 5 to 10 carries.
Man, I will stay away in any situation possible. I mean, if you have another
Will you start
player-
Rawls over Blount?
if Rawls,
Yeah,
I mean, that's
would.
the situation
Yes.
people are going to face.
If you're that low, I think I would start Rawls over Blunt. So long as are they both the same time game? I don't remember the clock, but I want to make sure we don't say
Sure.
I mean, because Rawls, we're
Both
still
games
waiting.
will be 4 quarters. They're going to go 4 quarters. In
I mean
time.
the start time, so that because obviously you have to wait and see that Thomas Rawls is going to play. If he is, I
you
expect
starting
more
Lacey or
points in
Blunt?
that game. Definitely Lacey over Blunt.
Okay,
for
so that-
sure.
I
So
mean-
the Seahawks is the afternoon game, and the Eagles they are the morning game.
So yeah, that's the point. I would not start Rawls. Just
start Blunt.
for safety. I would start Blunt. But if I've got Lacey, I would start Lacey over Blunt. On the road with an over-under that, I would personally choose the under. It just doesn't seem like the right situation for the goal line back for Lacey. I mean, any game can be. I mean, a goal line back, at least you have the opportunity for, like what happened last night, a pass interference long bomb that puts LeGarrette Blunt down on the 1
That's
or 2.
what you're hoping
and if
for.
that happens, he's going to have a touchdown, have a fine game.
The Eagles' defense was middle of the road last year, but the run defense tackled opponents for a loss 19.3% of the time. That was number 1 in the league. Robert Kelly, he needs a head of steam. What do we think he does in this game at home against the Eagles? You confident starting him, Mike?
Yes, I have confidence starting him as a 2. I think that he's fine. I believe in the Washington offense. Kirk Cousins last year essentially averaged about 240 and 2 against this defense last year. He's killed them in the past. So I have faith that Washington gets it going this week, and that includes Robert Kelly being a part of the action.
I'm going to hit pause real quick before we talk Colts and Rams because there were 2 players we didn't bring up because there's so many fantasy-relevant players in the Kansas City-New England game. I just really quickly touch on Travis Kelce, touch on Chris Hogan because they had a lot of hype, and I want to know what you think about their situation.
Are you talking about the running back for the New England Patriots, Chris Hogan?
I thought you meant the running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Or the quarterback taking those direct snaps. Andy Reid brought everything out in that game.
Called a great game.
Travis Kelce, this is what I expect from Travis Kelce is you're going to get games like this. You'll get those 100-yard games. It's just the Patriots eliminate the top weapon from a team, and there was talk before the game that the Patriots are going to scheme Travis Kelce out, which I believe is why Andy Reid was trying to just force touches to Travis Kelce, and so I'm not concerned about him moving forward. And Hogan he's a boom bust guy that if you want to put some juice in the flex position, then Hogan can provide that. But I mean,
You're
Hogan
playing
did not look
fantasy
good
roulette
yesterday.
with that wide receiver core.
exactly.
I did see a bunch of people talking about the fact that Hogan had the highest percentage of snaps yesterday, and that it'll happen for him. But you need to remember last year, I believe Chris Hogan had the highest percentage of snaps in that core. It's just not they're not using him as a volume target.
All right, the Indianapolis Colts head to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Rams are 3.5-point favorites against Scott Tolzien and the Scott Tolzien Experience. That's his band name. Goff Tolzien. Who's excited about this?
Giving away free tickets if you want to go see the show.
I feel like this is. I know that the Rams are on the road, so at least you're favored on the road, but to only be favored, they're on the road, right?
I believe. I have them down as home, so
Okay.
let's just
let
verify
me
that.
verify.
It is the Rams at home.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, okay. I apologize. I was remembering that wrong. But the Rams as only a 3.5-point favorite
At home.
against the Scott Tolzien-led Colts, who have a bad defense. I mean, that's just an indictment of who the Rams are. But
I think it's an indictment on the total scoring expectations in this game.
it's fair.
I think
fair
that's
point.
what it is.
Yeah, but I will do this because sometimes you got to be a man about it. I don't like Todd Gurley for season long. I love Todd Gurley in this matchup. I'm trying. If you have him, plug him in as a 1 with full confidence. I don't expect the Colts to put up any kind of fight for Todd Gurley. I'm expecting a massive game.
Offensive line improvements mixed with being at home, a Colts defense that ranked 25th against the run last year. One of the most frequent questions that I have received this entire week, and you guys have seen them, we talked about them on the Footcast, they're all T.Y. Hilton related because without Andrew Luck, and with this general cloud of Scott Tolzien hanging over the offense, people have fears. People want to know, do I start T.Y. Hilton or do I roll out some lower-tier wide receiver in week 1 simply because there's no Andrew Luck? What are the range of outcomes for Hilton? How are you approaching that situation?
I think the floor is not safe for T.Y. Hilton, but I'm still going to play him because you know that the ceiling is there. I don't think that the Rams are I know they were 10th against the pass last year, so they're an okay defense, but Aaron Donald will not be playing in this game. So can the pressure really get there? I mean, he's a huge part of the Rams defense. So I'm still going to
If you take out Justin Houston last night, the game looks very different.
Exactly. So I'm still playing Hilton, but my expectations are lowered.
Let me give you a couple scenarios so you can decide.
All right, excellent.
Let's use first one from this game. Do you play Hilton or do you play Sammy Watkins in this game?
Hilton.
Do you play Hilton or do you play Stefon Diggs?
I'm going Diggs.
Diggs.
Yeah, I would play Hilton still. What about Golden Tate or
And
T.Y.
for the
Hilton?
record, I'm going Watkins.
Okay.
Ooh. So
Would you go Golden Tate or would you go T.Y. Hilton?
I think there I would go T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, I would go Hilton.
Larry Fitzgerald or T.Y. Hilton?
Fitz.
Fitz for sure. Fitz is going to be.
All right, so you guys are sharing some of the doubt. I think I'm more bullish on, look, you drafted T.Y. Hilton to start on your team. I'm not going to lose with my stud on the bench, and I probably stick with him.
Yeah, I've said this before, but with Tolzien, I am more confident in Dante Moncrief than I am in T.Y. Hilton.
That seems ridiculous.
Well, it's just the Moncrief as the possession receiver. I understand his logic.
Well,
what kind of water bet can we do about that?
Oh, I like that. Just a
straight
T.Y.
up fantasy
Hilton,
point?
Dante, yeah.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
All right.
Water bet.
Brooks, where do you weigh in on that? Hilton or Moncrief?
Hilton.
Okay.
I go Hilton side.
All right, so you're in on the water bet with me.
I
Cool.
stand alone.
Oh, negative.
All right. Yeah, 2 for 1.
Too late.
I like it. It's too late. You said yes.
Yeah, I'll just
I did not say yes.
He did not say yes. All right, the Seahawks take on
Frank Gore. Are you playing him?
We don't talk about him. We just play him.
Okay. I mean, because he wasn't really drafted as a starter because you could get him later on.
No, I mean, I don't love the situation he's in because you can stack the box against Tolzien. Frank Gore is going to have some rotational. He's going to take some time off. I don't love it. I'd rather start somebody else.
They're just going to go 10 in the box.
Yeah,
one safety.
Yeah, Gore.
That's enough for Tolzien.
I mean, perfect example. I started Dante Moncrief over Gore in my flex.
Sounds like Moncrief might be your number 1 this week.
Nope. No, I mean, I'm not high on him. This is a deep flex. This is multiple flex positions there. But I'm just saying, it's hard to expect a big game from Frank Gore. I said this in the preseason. He looked surprisingly good. Like I was like, wow, he's still Frank Gore. Go figure, at 34 years old. But, I mean, the scheme is going to be everyone up close to the line, and I believe, shockingly, that the Colts will be down. I think the Rams are going to be able to move the ball on this defense, and they might have to throw the ball.
All right. The Seahawks take on the Green Bay Packers. Excited about this matchup. 51-point over-under. I expect points to be put up. We know that Aaron Rodgers can kind of persist through whatever defense he faces, even though the Seahawks were top 10 in run and pass defense last year. And then you have the Packers, who could not defend the pass at all last year, and Russell Wilson, who looks very good so far this year and has in his entire career in terms of fantasy. What are the storylines and narratives? There's a lot of potential starters in fantasy in this game. I'm very excited about Jimmy Graham in this game, for example. He's one of my highest-rated tight ends on the week. What are you guys looking for? What are the decisions you're making, and how do we need to talk about this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I want all the Seahawks I can muster. I'm throwing in Doug Baldwin, obviously. Russell Wilson, if he wasn't already, a top-ranked quarterback, easily would have been my start of the week. I think
that's a bold take because are you saying you're playing like Paul Richardson and Tyler Lockett?
No, Paul Richardson and Tyler Lockett I'm not. I'm saying that when it comes to Doug Baldwin,
so this
Jimmy
just
Graham,
the studs from the team.
Russell Wilson, and I'll throw Eddie Lacy in there. I would play Eddie Lacy this week. I think that the Green Bay Packers rushing defense doesn't scare me. There will be opportunities at and near the goal line in this game, according to what Vegas is projecting for team totals.
Can I swap Burkhead out and play Lacy?
Not on our site.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Montgomery we're confident in. Nelson we're confident in.
Yes. Yeah, I'm still confident in the passing weapons. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, 246-3 last time when he played Seattle last year, so he can get it done. And Adams was my start of the week because I have confidence in starting him. He was over 100 yards with a touchdown. I know Jordy had the other two, but
if this game wasn't in Lambeau,
right,
there'd be more concern for me on the overall.
Sure, and that's
score.
a fair point. But it is in Lambeau,
Yeah.
so I'm perfectly fine firing up your Green Bay weapons here.
What about Ty Montgomery? Because I mean, I feel like Seattle's defense is not getting enough credit right now. I know it's Lambeau. I know the Green Bay offense, but their defense looks much better than it did to me last year.
Yeah, I mean it's too early to say that though. I mean this is not the team from 3 years ago. They were 7th and 8th in the league last year, like I said. So they're good, but they were not unstoppably good. They gave up 18 points a game, and Montgomery's the guy. So by the way, I had a big Jamal Williams fan from his alma mater send me about a 10-page note on why I am very dumb about loving Ty Montgomery and why Jamal Williams is the best player that has ever played football in the history.
There's no bias there.
Yeah, and so it was all about pass protection and Jamal Williams and how great he is.
Jamal Williams is solid. He's a solid player, but Ty Montgomery is the starter, and he will continue to be the starter on a high-powered offense. So I play Montgomery.
And for fantasy,
weekly.
We talked about this with Kareem Hunt. When you are utilized in the passing game, which is the Green Bay Packers game, there's just more value, and Jamal Williams won't have that role.
All right, the Panthers take on the 49ers to start the career of Christian McCaffrey, 47.5-point over-under. This game's in San Francisco. They are 5.5-point underdogs at home. This is the Brian Hoyer era, the Kyle Shanahan era that begins. I'm a big Pierre Garçon fan. I'm not sure this is the greatest matchup to start the season, but the Panthers D, obviously, without Josh Norman last year, struggled against the pass. I'm starting Garçon and I'm starting Carlos Hyde, and that's probably where it ends on the San Francisco side of the ball.
Yeah, I can agree. I mean, you're not overly excited for George Kittle yet. You have to see proof of concept there. And Goodwin, Marquise Goodwin for San Francisco, I mean, that's just a dart throw at this point. So I'm with Andy. I'm not very excited for anybody. But, of course, 2-quarterback league, I'm not afraid to start Brian Hoyer as my 2. I'm not starting him as a 1 this week, though.
Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, Kelvin Benjamin, Greg Olsen. I'm rolling them all out there. Do you start Jonathan Stewart as well?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is a team that's going to be winning. They're not going to need to pass the ball, and they're going up against a lousy rush defense. So I think Jonathan Stewart is a fine play.
Do not forget last year, the Saints rolled into town. Mark Ingram and Timmy Hightower went full ham sandwich on this defense. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities for both Stewart and McCaffrey to have a big game.
Last year, the 49ers gave up 1.6 rushing touchdowns per game, which is worse in the league. 29.3 points per game. You compare that to what Seattle gave up, which is about 18 points a game.
And what's crazy is I think that, when I look at the Niners' defense as far as rush defense versus last year, they might be worse.
Oh,
I don't see them being all of a sudden a great
I think
defense.
this game's a shootout. I think it's a close game.
It's possible.
If I would take the 49ers in the points if I were a betting man, which I'm not, but that's what I would do. I would take the 49ers in the points at home.
If it is, I'm doing it on the back of Carlos Hyde. I mean, I believe Carlos Hyde is one of those backs that plays so much better at home than on the road. We saw him. You just brought up his Week 1 Minnesota game. That was a great defense. So Carlos Hyde, you said you'd start him. I completely agree. I'd start him.
Yeah, I think Hoyer actually has a pretty good game. All right, Sunday Night Football. The Giants take on the Cowboys. What a way to get Sunday Night Football kicked off. Cowboys 4-point favorites at home, 47.5-point over-under. Eli Manning a sneaky start this week.
Oh,
yes or
certainly.
No?
Absolutely. The Cowboys secondary, we've talked about it through the offseason. They've gotten worse.
They're actually calling it their tertiary now.
Nice. But they were bad last year, and now they're even worse. So I think that Eli Manning is a sneaky start. It kind of hurts him that Odell Beckham is not 100%. I still expect him to play, but clearly he will not be the Odell Beckham you're used to. The sneakiest start of this game.
You're stealing my guy, aren't you?
I'll let you get in there.
Look, this is a glory play. There are too many guys that I would play over him to actually do it. But if you want glory, you're playing that division rival where a win isn't good enough. You want to look him in the face and say, I beat you with a rookie tight end. Evan Ingram has a juicy, perfect matchup here. If Odell Beckham is even if he's especially if he's on the field, because he might be hobbled, but he'll take the defenses away. Last year, the Dallas Cowboys had the worst. We think of the Cleveland Browns as the worst against the tight ends. The Cowboys were worse.
Let me give you a scenario, because this is how this can play out. You just said the glory play. When you have a Sunday night or a Monday night game, you get options because you see how the games have played out earlier in the day. If you're a Kyle Rudolph or Kobe Fleener owner who play Monday night, and you don't think the high-end upside is there for them to get you back in your matchup, that's when you could play a guy like Evan Ingram, who's a streaker down the field, big play type of potential, and say, hey, I'm just going to try to get back in this game because I think Kyle Rudolph's going to catch 7 or 8 passes, but maybe he doesn't have the big play potential, or maybe I don't believe in Kobe Fleener or Antonio Gates, right, on that Monday night game. I think that's when you could take the dart throw, because Evan Ingram, who's got a higher chance, a higher percentage of having, 100 yards? Is it Evan Ingram or is it Kyle Rudolph?
Probably Kyle Rudolph still.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's just you and I. All off season, you hate Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, that's just based on his career.
Fair.
All right. Paul Perkins, when I see him in lineups, I cringe. Are you cringing?
Yep. I mean, the Cowboys, the run defense was solid last year, and Paul Perkins he gets what's blocked for him. And the bad news about that is the Giants' offensive line cannot run block. So it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough for Paul Perkins.
Would you sit him for Adrian Peterson?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you sit him for Alvin Kamara?
No.
Would you sit him for Jamal Charles?
No.
Okay.
Because Paul Perkins, he has this going for him. He's a starting running back.
Hey!
And he has a cool nickname.
Yep. It's called Bishop Sankey.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. Brandon Marshall, confident starting him in this game?
I am.
Could have a nice game against that secondary. He's healthy. He's back on the field, and Beckham could be hobbled.
This is I'm the anti-Brandon Marshall guy of the three of us, but this is a decent matchup. I mean, you've got a hurt secondary. You've got a hobbled Odell Beckham. I think he is worthy of starting this week. If he comes out and flops this week, I'm right.
The big
that's
no,
our
I
question.
know.
He hasn't played with Eli Manning.
The big question for me is Dez Bryant is a stud, so you drafted him to be a stud, and I'm playing him despite the Giants eliminating him.
You're going to have to make that decision every week this year.
Yeah,
You're basically going to have to say, I'm starting Dez against this elite cornerback, because that's all he's going to face this year.
But so I'm just saying I'm still confidently playing him. The question, though, is Dak Prescott, who I love this year. I think that he is a top 10 quarterback, but this is a rough matchup for him. The Giants' secondary is fantastic. Are you trying to pivot away from Dak?
It just depends on who my other options
Carson
are.
Palmer is on the waiver wire.
No, I think I would go Dak over Palmer.
All right.
Yeah, me too. All right, Monday Night Football, the Saints and Vikings, the Chargers and the Broncos. Let's start in the Vikings game, 48-point over-under. The game is in Minnesota, and so Drew Brees hits the road. I think this is going to be a pretty exciting game. The Vikings are favored at home. You get to see Dalvin Cook for the first time. You get to see how this running back carousel breaks down for the Saints, and you get to see Ted Ginn in that wide receiver 2 spot. I'm a huge Adam Thielen fan. I would start him over Diggs in this matchup. I know that's a hot take, but I believe Thielen has a better season than Stefon Diggs, despite Diggs' talent, who I believe he's a very talented guy, just like Thielen a lot. What are some start-sit decisions you see breaking down in this game? Are you more comfortable with Ingram over Peterson, for example?
I think that's the big decision, and I would play Ingram. At this point, he's been the starter for years. By all accounts, he should be starting again. He should receive the most touches of the running back core. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to get 25 touches. I mean, you're probably banking on what 15 to 17.
Yeah, you're hoping for 15.
But they're a high-powered offense. Will Ingram retain that passing role, or are they going to say, hey, rookie Kamara, get in there and be the passing specialist? So I still have confidence playing Mark Ingram this week.
Yeah, this isn't a good matchup for any of them. When you split the ball 3 ways and then you go up against a team that is good against that's just, I would order them personally, Ingram, AP, Kamara, but I'm not excited to play any. I have to play Ingram in a couple leagues, and it could work out. Certainly, he's a good enough back.
The matchup isn't too bad.
Yeah.
Vikings allowed 9 rushing touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
That's rough.
But they gave up some yards.
Yeah, but they also only allowed 18.7 points a game.
For the record, I know maybe we can find a water bet around it, but I do think Diggs has a really good game. I think he's prepared. I love Thielen too. I think this is a game that could be high scoring against. I mean, you guys are calling New Orleans your Super Bowl.
Let's just keep betting these tandems. You want to go Thielen Diggs?
No, because I really like Thielen's upside. But my thing is not an anti-Thielen.
I ain't scared.
Mine is Diggs.
Get it on the board. Join me, Jason.
Water bet.
I knew I couldn't get Jason to bet twice. He's too scared. Sam Bradford.
I think I brought up the idea of finding a bet.
And then we tried to do it, and you wouldn't do it. The Saints, 32nd against the pass last year. Everything about the streaming quarterback philosophy says, look, you're at home. You've got a new weapon in Cook. You have the opportunity here to have a big game. Are you streaming Sam Bradford? I know Mike and I believe the defense is better for New Orleans, but you're going on the road in week 1.
Right.
It's hard to get there. Is Bradford a better play than someone like Palmer?
No. He's like Hoyer. I'm confident in Bradford as a QB2, but he is not going to be a QB1 for me this week.
All right. Let's move on. The Chargers, the Broncos. Last game we're going over before we do a live draft here on the show of this week's players. So Rivers, Simeon, the Broncos are favored, 43-point over-under. They're looking at it as a lower-scoring game in Denver. I am not excited about starting any of the Chargers other than obviously you're rolling out Melvin Gordon. There's no qualms about that. The Broncos struggled against the run last year. So what do we think about this game?
I'm still fine going Keenan Allen. I think that the volume will be there. I think he is an elite separator. I'm not expecting a monster game, but PPR, half PPR, I think that he will still deliver for the player that you drafted.
Son of Bum is no longer there.
Yeah,
Wade Phillips is gone from that defense.
The Broncos' defense is one that I worry about the turnover. They've lost a little bit of pass rush. They've lost quite a few players, but they still have the elite cornerbacks. They lost their defensive coordinator. This is a game where if the Chargers come out and end up exposing the Broncos' D, I will take note of that. But I'm not expecting that. And right now, week 1, you kind of have to go – the only thing you have to go on is just – off-season acquisitions and losses along with last season's production. That says to me, I worry about starting every single Charger, including Keenan Allen.
Aqib Talib might miss the game, though.
Whew, that would
he has
that would change some things.
He has an Achilles injury, did not practice on Thursday. We don't know the details yet, and I haven't been able to find anything new, but that would change some things for me.
That would very much change things because not only, is Aqib Talib he's just great, but he also – they use him a lot of times against the tight ends. And if there's a team that, utilizes when I think of what team utilizes the tight end the best, I think of Phillip Rivers and the San Diego Chargers. So Aqib Talib being out would be a pretty big deal here to me.
Yeah, we'll see.
Monitor the situation.
Just look and see if he practices today. Otherwise, other storylines there. How about the tight ends? Anything to note there, Mike?
Hunter Henry was drafted as a starter. I drafted him.
You're rolling him
in
out
a few leagues, and I'm putting him out there. And Antonio Gates is what he is, where you're hoping for a touchdown to go his way, and the touchdowns will be there. This may not be the matchup though that you're excited to put Gates out there.
All right.
You got to wait and see on this one, but I'm just worried to start any of them, including Gates and Henry. I'm not. I would look elsewhere.
All right, I'm excited about this week of football. Going to be a lot of fun, unless you're a Jay Ajayi owner, in which case you got to wait another week to have a good time. But it's coming. It's coming. So, all right, we're going to move on. Time for the Daily Dose.
The Daily Dose, brought to you by PlayDraft.
All right, the loser of this competition here, live on the show, has to.
Well, the loss, the punishment is not live on the show. We will be posting about it.
Yeah,
on Monday.
on the
I know.
YouTube channel.
You didn't let me finish.
Oh,
I was going to say what the punishment was.
all right, get
I
in
got
there.
the third pick.
So the draft is starting right now. Mike's got the number 1 pick in a play draft DFS matchup this week. Mike versus Andy versus Jason. The loser is going to have to eat something that the winners pick out for them at lunch. We'll videotape it. We'll put it online. It is great, unless you're eating it, in which case it's very bad. Mike, you went with Le'Veon Bell.
With the number 1 pick, Le'Veon Bell versus the Browns. Child, please.
I took Kareem Hunt. No, I went with David Johnson. I doubled down.
When I wasn't paying that much attention. The second that you said anything other than David Johnson, I was like, oh, yes, I get him.
Sorry, buddy. No.
I'm going to take Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
And got to go with Shady. He's just going to put up.
Getting in on those incentives.
Yeah.
Those cash
Gonna
incentives.
put up too much.
I'm going to go ahead and grab Julio against Chicago. Love the matchup. Love the opportunity for a big play. So I've got Julio and David Johnson.
Man, I was hoping that Julio was going to drop to me. So here on the turn, I'm just going to grab some studs here. I'm going with A.J. Green. And then I'm going to look to fill out my running back situation. And I'm going to get Devonta Freeman against the Chicago Bears. The matchup is delightful. And Freeman has proven himself worthy.
I am back on the clock. I'm going to double up my wideouts. I'm going to go Julio. I went Julio. Now I'm going to go Antonio Brown and pair him together.
Not bad. Not bad. In a 3-person draft,
This is
you
the
get some
second
good
time
players.
I've ended up in the non-turn situation in these drafts. And
That's right.
I'd like to be on the turn.
Well, I'm going to pair up as well. I'm going to go Doug Baldwin because the only way I win is if Doug Baldwin's going to get some touchdowns here, I'll get that Russell Wilson, Doug Baldwin combo.
You're going for the stack.
And then same game, I'm going for a high-scoring affair. I'm going to take Horty Nelson. Last time you said it, last time they played Seattle in Green Bay, 2 touchdowns for Horty.
Matchup's not amazing, but I'm going to pair David Johnson with Ezekiel Elliott, and so I took him.
Man, my decision here is, do I go with a quarterback and a running back? Because I like Matt Ryan a lot, and that's what I'm going to do because he's my number 1 quarterback for the week. So that means that all I need left to fill out my roster is either a wide receiver or a tight end. I'm going through here, and I am going to take Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas?
Michael Thomas.
All right, you took Michael Thomas. I'm gonna go with Aaron Rodgers at home. I'm not gonna get cute. I'm not gonna try to go grab Carson Palmer. I'm gonna just take Aaron Rodgers.
That's
round
the right
out my
play.
team.
And now I am deciding between Jordan Howard and Melvin Gordon. I like both backs. Obviously, the better matchup is against Atlanta, but I think that you're going to need Melvin Gordon to succeed if you want to win against the Denver Broncos. So going Melvin Gordon to pair with Shady, and Jordy Nelson, Doug Baldwin to pair with Russell Wilson.
And then Mike's team is Matt Ryan, Lev Bell, Devonta Freeman, A.J. Green, and Michael Thomas. And my team is Aaron Rodgers, David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, Julio Jones, and Antonio Brown. So Studville, USA.
Of course. Well,
and look, that's the fun of this game is that even if you don't own these super stud players in your league of record or your season long, you get the opportunity to root for them or have them on your roster in play draft. And I'm in a healthy league, a lead in a footballers 10-team week 1 league because I had Mr. Kareem.
The thing about play draft, they have other modes too, so which we may have to pivot to next week. Like we could have done a 5 quarterback.
Woo! Just 5 quarterbacks.
Just 5.
Oh, that'd be fun. Let's do that next week.
All right.
All right, that is it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in. We will make sure you get all the injury updates. We post those over on jointhefoot.com every Sunday morning. Mike will be doing his inaugural Periscope on Sunday morning. People are huge fans of that Periscope because they wake up and they get a chance to tune in and find out any of the last-minute news.
And because there's just no distractions, it's just my face.
Well, yeah. That's really the highlight.
That is the distraction, Mike.
You are the Eric Decker of the group. We'll be honest with you.
I'll take it.
Yeah. All right.
I'm the Gelvin Benjamin.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you very much for tuning in to Eric Decker and Calvin. I'm the Alex Smith. We all know it.
Good
Congratulations.
luck,
But
everyone.
I took some chances.
FootClan, crush it this weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers
Please don't trade him
Podcast.
just
Join our
because
fantasy
you
football
can.
community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @the FF Ballers.